The federal election is creeping closer and Scott Morrison is set to become Australia's 12th longest serving Prime Minister if he stays in office until May 23. But after Morrison's recent bad press, some are questioning whether he will make it to the election as leader of the coalition. I'm now joined by business columnist Terry McCrann. Terry, you've written a superb column in the News Corp papers about all this. We've got just over 100 days until the last possible election day. Do you think it's plausible for Morrison to be replaced in that time?
Well, very simply, Rita, two decisions have to be made. One is the timing of the election, what specific date it will be held on. And that's pretty important. I mean, it's more important than you might normally think. And obviously, as you indicate, the second decision that the Liberals have to make is who actually leads them to that election. Now, let me discuss the first point first, which is the timing of the election. We know that the budget's going to be on March 29. It's been brought forward from its normal date in May. You obviously can't have a budget a week or so out from an election. So the budget is going to be on May 29. It's effectively going to be the government's political manifesto. It's going to be the budget which hands out money. In the mid-year update, they showed they had $16 billion that they'd salted away to be announced, to be spent when they actually got to the election campaign. So we'll see that in May. So they're going to go on some sort of a spending spree come the budget. But immediately you do that, you're into an election campaign. So the election campaign starts on March 30. We wake up on that Wednesday and we're in the middle of the election campaign. And the worst thing they could make, particularly starting how far behind they are, is to have a long election campaign. So you really want to have the actual election early in May. And then, of course, that gets you to the second question. Who should be the Prime Minister, both in terms of the budget and obviously running through the election campaign? And I have to say that you're going to be a brave Liberal backbencher or indeed a frontbencher if you stick with Scott Morrison, particularly after the way he's behaved over the last 2 weeks.
But you'd also have to be very brave to pull the trigger now. We're so close to the date, and Scott Morrison has shown in the last election that he can snap a victory from the jaws of defeat. He had that miraculous comeback victory. I mean, he could do it again, but I mean, is it wise for the coalition to try to outspend Labor, to have this big spending budget and try to get into the electorate's good books doing that?
You've raised a lot of issues there, Rita. One, let me start with that miracle. I mean, even Scott Morrison said, in effect, I didn't win the election campaign, but a higher power gave me a miracle. Now, will that higher power think that he's done a great job in the last 3 years and he deserves a second miracle, because he's going to need a second miracle to win? I mean, what's changed is we saw a bit of it in 2019, but we'll see much more of it in 2022, which is, on the one hand, you've got people like Josh Frydenberg being challenged from the left by these fake independents, and there's quite a few of them now running in 2022. But equally, on the right, you've got Clive Palmer again, you've got Pauline Hanson, you've got Campbell Newman, and all of those people concentrated in Queensland, which is absolutely critical to a government victory. So it's going to be very difficult for the government to steer some sort of middle course to try and hold all those votes. But no, you're absolutely right. He shouldn't be embarking on a big spending campaign, and that goes to a bigger issue about the Liberals, which they've seemed to have adopted, is they trying to be soft Labor. And that's not a good political strategy, to say we're going to embrace all the wokeism and all the stupidity from the left, but we're going to do it somehow slightly less woke, slightly less stupid, from climate change to all the gender issues.
That's it. They're just like, oh, well, yeah, we're a little half pregnant. Really, I mean, if you care passionately about those issues, then you back Labor. If you're a conservative, then you care about conservative values.